super excited. I think as we sort of it's been a bit of a blur over the last month, right? We've sort of come through with a few papers that have sort of updated a bit of the info. Then we launched right into Packdrop Packdrop 4, which has been I don't know, in my opinion, just a resounding success. I think everyone is like amazed at just the improvements from the pack drop to the just quality of the cards. And then we went right into NFT NYC, where we got to meet a lot of the community members and got to just sort of share in their excitement, and obviously got to announce some pretty epic news with the sort of date for caching. And yeah, we're just sort of like motoring along and sort of taking the next steps towards the eventual inaugural game launch. So yeah, we're just excited to be here. So I guess with that we can begin. First, I guess like thanks everyone for joining us on a Sunday. To talk Echelon and to sort of be with us on sort of this next phase in the evolution of our community. Um, we've been testing and tweaking a lot over the past couple weeks, and we're still doing some updates, and we'll sort of go into that a little bit later. But we're obviously extremely excited to share what we've been working on. If you haven't seen the sort of teaser or sort of walkthrough tweets on Echelon about or sorry with the videos, I encourage you to take a look at that just to sort of might answer some questions that you have. But obviously everything is sort of going live tomorrow, so you'll be able to interact with it firsthand. First, obviously, I want to say a big thanks to Parallel Team and Des for just constantly innovating and setting such a high bar of quality. The site looks great, and hopefully the community. Hope you guys like it too. Secondly, we should thank fellow EPs that couldn't be here. There's a lot of work that, like, obviously the stuff that you guys see and interact with is sort of the product, but there's a lot of thinking and sort of testing and playing out different scenarios in the behind the curtain. And just for me personally, it's been an absolute pleasure to work with everyone on the EP side. And lastly, we want to thank the community just for being so vibrant and passionate. Obviously, love interacting with you guys on sort of a daily basis, and it's just a sort of like a treat to sort of get to work with everyone. So I guess with that, my name is Meta Regular. I got to meet a couple of you. At New York, and I'll be sort of adding color to the some of the answers to our AMA questions, and I'll let the others introduce themselves.
I mean, hi, I'm Sentience. Meta's intro was beautiful, colorful. I'm here as a backup to help anybody and also record it for everyone to see later on. And yeah, let's go to the next one.
Hey, yeah, cold plunge. I think me and Bu are going to be alternating here, kind of answering these questions, and I think he's kicking us off. So without further ado, the Doodle in the bear suit, take it away.
Yeah. So I was like hanging out there to go last because I think I'm gonna start with the first question. But yeah, I'm Bu. Yeah, as always, it's a pleasure to be here. It's been a pleasure to interact with folks, and like Meta, I was lucky enough to meet some of y'all in my home city of New York a couple weeks ago during NFT NYC, and that was definitely a ton of fun. But yeah, let's without further ado, let's get started. So we're going to kind of just run down the questions that were collected, to sort of refresh folks on what the questions were. We'll read them, maybe not exactly verbatim, but, to basically, get to the gist of what the question was. and then we'll sort of get into our answer for that. And so yeah. So the first question that we had was, it's been shared that caching is going to involve moving cards out of wallets. How was this done in the most, kind of gas efficient manner, and why weren't we doing this off chain? So I guess, to start with, gas optimization was absolutely part of the process from the get go on the contract development side. As far as, and I guess like kind of specifically to that, right? Like, part of this is, you can cache, duplicate sets at the same time. And so, reduce it, trying to just be efficient, both in terms of the actual gas cost and also like the number of clicks that people have to actually click. We know there's folks that have kind of like a lot of things. And especially if you're using a hardware wallet, if you're going to have to click through 10 different things per set, that's going to get really old really fast. So, we're trying both from a UI UX standpoint, as well as from an actual optimization of the sort of way needed to complete the transaction. And I guess like, another further thing as well is having a sort of 1 week window in which people can also begin the caching process. This should not have to rush, as well as find an entry and a gas price that kind of works for you. So there's that in mind. And then sort of for like, why aren't we doing this off chain? Everything that we do and everything in the development process is a trade-off, and we wanted to distribute governance as soon as possible, rather than kind of continuing to wait on that. And so going this way and starting with the sort of MasterChef V2 contract, which is battle tested, allows us to sort of kick off the governance process sooner rather than later, and sort of get the ball rolling on decentralization in a way that we're pretty happy with. And I'll kick it over to Cold for the next one.
Well, I'll just jump in there. Obviously, like future optimizations can occur, but I think as Bud mentioned, it's a bit of a balance. And for this sort of V1, I guess we were sort of balancing speed and security. We know sort of what we're getting into, and I think sort of the idea to expand governance sooner rather than later was sort of top of mind. Obviously, if optimizations occur in the future, we'll gather feedback and update everyone if there are further developments.
Nice. Cool. So our second question here was, what is the purpose of caching, and are there any plans to expand this purpose or definition in the future? And the simplest answer is that caching rewards active participants and helps to distribute prime and therefore governance to those members of the community. So it's essentially to reward people who are more tuned in rather than someone who's maybe not as actively involved. So that's one thing. And another purpose of caching is that potentially in the future, games that are partnered with Echelon can change the dynamics of gameplay depending on whether or not an asset is cached. No real further details to give on exactly what that looks like at the moment, but there just is potential to work with that and potentially change some in-game features.
Yeah, I also think that this question sort of highlights. I mean, I think it's actually been sort of been mentioned in at least crypto Twitter a bit, is sort of the notion of staking. Obviously, what like staking is sort of as highlighted, sort of is a mechanism to sort of ensure honesty or sort of securing the network. That's not what we're doing here. We're sort of just since Prime is not being used to secure the network, we felt that a new term was required. So I think we were just sort of playing around with that idea and sort of creating something a bit different.
Cool. So our next question here is it correct that prime set caching is indefinite in terms of duration, and that this will continue to be replenished by prime sinks. The coda on this was, does this mean that as long as the prime ecosystem thrives, that prime sets can be cached forever? And the short answer is yes. There is no stipulated end date for the sinks. The initial pool, is being seeded with a, sort of a percentage of the initial prime supply. But as the papers have stipulated, the idea is that these pools will ultimately become circular and replenished as the sinks are turned on and as the ecosystem thrives. With the obvious caveat that this would of course be subject to the community, as in the community could theoretically vote to change this in some way down the line.
Yeah, and this, just for a bit of clarification, the prime sets is sort of are consistent with like the other cornerstone assets, the the MPs, the cores, and I think the prime drives. They are sort of they sort of reward longer term minded collectors, and those pools, of course, have mechanisms that replenish.
Nice. So this next question, I believe, has been answered in chat, but just to put some finality here, if cards are located in different wallets, well, we need to move them all to one wallet before caching. And second part of this question is there a way to link multiple addresses to the same caching entity or user? So the answer is yes. At the moment, you will have to move all of your cards to one wallet. So yeah, and then Prime will be claimed from the wallet that is caching the assets. And if you're not caching a Prime set, it can stay in separate wallets. Like if you just have onesie twosie cards here and there, you don't need to move them into the wallet, into the same wallet. And so yeah, for the moment, it's just a one wallet system for the purposes of caching.
Yep. And of course, like we'll continue to evolve and try to improve the system. For now, we initially sort of outlined like a 3-day caching grace period, but just sort of noting that people might be busy in the summer, or people might be monitoring times for when the network is a bit more, I guess, a bit more, I don't know, less utilized or less clogged up. We've extended it to 7 days, so community members can monitor the network activity, find a sort of time that works for them to consolidate. So just giving that a little extra few days, so that everyone feels comfortable that they felt like they got their stuff in time, is sort of an attempt to ease that for everybody.
Cool. So our next question here is, essentially, is the state of an asset being cached or not cached checked each block, and can you cache or uncache without any time locks or constraints? And to answer that second bit, there are no time locks for caching. You can uncache whenever you want. As far as prime distribution here, the prime distributed to a given asset in caching is determined per second, and so whenever you would uncache, the prime that you would be allowed to claim would be accurate up to the second.
Nice. So will cached cards be usable in game, and how will that work? The answer is yes. Thank you to the magic of the blockchain. Cached cards can be used in game. However, each Echelon game partner has the option to choose whether or not cached NFTs will have different in-game functions. So they can be used in game, but there's also potential for different features relating to whether or not it's cached.
Yeah, and we're continuing to look into different options and building out the infrastructure that supports multiple wallets. One thing that we want to look into is just sort of registering interactions between wallets. So we've heard a lot about the vault, and one of the things that the vault is ultimately trying to achieve is the ability to trade permissions between wallets. You'll be able to sort of trade the permissions of the card to withdraw, or in essence ownership of the card. The cards may never leave the vault, but whoever has the permission to withdraw it can, and so that should save gas. And this sort of mechanism works similar to like a wine free port, where wine is being traded between I guess the collectors of wine, but it never sort of leaves this the sort of storage container. So there's optimizations that we're looking into, and obviously this is sort of the next stage that we're looking into.
Cool. So the next question, I think we've sort of loosely covered this already, but just for clarity, we'll get to this. So, will cards in the vault be considered part of a prime set as they were for key eligibility? Will they have to be withdrawn from the vault in order to be cached? And as we've said before, the answer to this is yes. You will need to withdraw cards from the vault in order for them to be cached with a prime set. And as kind of noted before, those sets should all be in one wallet.
Nice. Cached PKs, will they still be considered for perks? For example, the pack reservations in Hoodie? And yes is the answer. So not too much more to say there.
Cool. So the next question was kind of about the actual source code for the contracts. Will it be pushed to Etherscan? Who did the audit? And then there's kind of an additional question here around, what happens if a possible, attack vector went unnoticed? In what ways can the creator or possibly other entities interact with the contract that differ from from a normal user? And the answers here are yes, the code will be pushed to Etherscan. As far as the audits, both QuantStamp and Paradigm have audited the contract. And we also based this contract off of the MasterChef SushiSwap V2 contract, which is kind of, as we noted before, battle tested and something that we felt pretty confident with from a security standpoint. Beyond that, we will run kind of like a bug bounty program as well.
Yeah, I guess to add a little bit of color to that. Obviously, we've been fortunate to have help from a number of industry experts. Some that have been noted, but some that sort of have reviewed and are sort of part of our part of our community. One thing that the devs mentioned when we spoke to them was that there are no functions in the contract that allow anyone other than the depositing address to withdraw cards. So they tried to limit, I guess, the sort of I guess call functions there. So anyone that is sort of depositing their cards into that contract, there's I don't want to say only those wallets will be able to withdraw those cards.
Nice. This next question kind of related, and it's: are there any risks associated with caching cards, especially if they leave wallets? So yeah, if the contract holding the cards is exploited, will cachers have any recourse or remedies? So when you're caching, there's going to be T's and C's that you can feel free to browse. But as we Bu and Meta were just explaining, we've taken a lot of precautions to make sure that this thing is as secure and tight as possible, because really everything we've been working for now, up until now, really depends on this thing working. And so we've done everything we can to keep it safe. And there are no functions within the smart contract that would allow the cards to be removed by any entity other than the original address. So, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, as with most things in sort of our space, there's always a bit of platform risks, and you know, um, we've done our best to sort of try to limit that risk. You know, obviously, uh, you know, I think like on a sort of individual OPSEC level, users should be aware of, you know, the potential for phishing, and just always to be vigilant with you know, links that you're clicking onto that have been sent to you. You know, this has been happening more and more. Um, but yeah, I think it's really just we tried our best. We sort of used a sort of an existing robust contract, but I think that there's a bit of understanding that you know, there's always a little bit of risk, and we sort of urge everyone to be aware of those risks, as well as being vigilant with sort of I guess individual OPSEC.
Awesome. So for our next one, we've covered this a little bit. Can cards in parasets that are cached be used, upgraded, spawned? We already sort of did mention that the cards that are cached will be usable in the game. As far as upgrading and spawning, the answer is likely yes, but this is a question for the Parallel developers and the Parallel team, as they're still building out these game functions.
Yeah, in the in the future, there is an opportunity for the controlling wallet and associated vault cards to be cached without withdrawing. This is something that, you know, we hope could be looked at in the future. Obviously, for V1, it's sort of different, but as you know, the infrastructure that is being built out gets continually you know, upgraded. You know, obviously, like the optimizations with the vault would be sort of probably looked pleasurably by the favorably by the community. So obviously, hopefully at some point the vault can be cached. Sorry, cards from the vault can be cached. Would be great. One thing that we should also note is like when testing, when you withdraw a set from the contract, you will claim the rewards attributed to that set. So just something to note. So all in one go, when if you decide to uncash, it will withdraw the rewards that you've that have been attributed to you from that particular set or asset.
Sweet. Will caching require you to claim the tokens if the token is non-transferable until voted otherwise? It seems unnecessary to claim and only exposes the community to a potentially gray area for taxation purposes. Question mark. It's a question mark at the end. So everybody's tax obligations are different. We know that we have a very international community, and so it's hard to speak for any particular jurisdiction. What we can say is that you aren't obligated to claim the tokens prior to them becoming transferable, and your best bet's just to speak with a tax professional in your jurisdiction. But in order to use governance features, so Prime for voting on proposals and whatnot, you will need to claim it. So it's kind of a trade-off there, depending on what is best for you.
Yeah, I guess like to sort of add to the back end of like one of the features that is being built out is sort of like uh, um, a proposal sort of a proposal posting, as well as a grant application integration into the site. And so yes, you know, you won't be if you don't claim Prime, you won't be able to take part in that, because you'll need Prime to vote, as well as to sort of submit these applications. So just something to note, that this is something that we're working to integrate into the site.
Cool. So now, sort of like shifting to masterpieces and cores, will the royalty rewards be immediately claimable? So for both the masterpiece and the cores, these rewards will be claimable after a short period of time from being cached. And kind of specifically on the masterpieces, holders will be able to claim approximately 1 ETH every 24 hours of caching, and this pool will be topped up with the sort of rewards on a ongoing monthly basis. And for the core ETH, it's pretty similar. The pool will be distributed over the existing pool will be distributed over a monthly period, and kind of like the future rewards will get topped up on an ongoing monthly basis as well.
Yeah, I think when speaking with the devs, I think the intent here was to sort of feather out some of the reward emissions, just so it can mitigate the potential for technical or operational risk instead of just sort of dropping it all in one go. And I think after the discussion, we just felt between the devs and the EPs that 1 ETH per day claim is sort of a reasonable way to start. But as you mentioned, these pools get topped up, and yeah, they'll be just sort of ongoing rewards from there.
So will the caching interface show us the number of sets from a specific pack drop that are cached at any given time? So tomorrow, when caching opens up, this won't be immediately available, but it is a feature that we're looking to roll out along with a few other features in the coming days and weeks. So that is something we're working towards. It's just not going to be here quite yet tomorrow.
Yeah. So I think the way that it's being communicated to us is a fast follow. So just additional functionality that will come about hopefully in shortly after the emissions start. But some of the things that we're looking to throw in there are sort of indicators such as how much prime is remaining in a particular pool, how many sort of sets of a particular type, or how many, let's say, prime keys of a particular type, or sorry, how many prime keys total are cached. These sort of indicators sort of help inform community members and collectors sort of the status of the systems, and we sort of seen some preliminary sort of visuals of what it looks like, and I think you guys are going to be pretty excited.
Yep, and sort of the next question was pretty much an extension of this. I think we've mostly covered it, which will will the caching interface show the total cached assets and kind of like number of available cached assets. And I think what this is getting to is like will the interface show something where it's like, I don't know, there's like what 125 total potential PD1 SE sets. So will the interface show that like 60 out of 125 are cached, and sort of like what Meta said, not right out of the gate, but it is something that they are looking to roll out as part of this sort of fast follow for version 2.
Yeah, and I think too, this is when there's some other stuff, right? Like the next version of prime sets, right? Which once Parallel announces those, or the parasets, yeah. So a few more things need to be rolled out, and we'll be rolling those out as quickly as possible. So next question. The Echelon white paper states that the 2% prime set caching pool will emit over a 12 to 24 month period. And then we've also mentioned that will be linear. So assuming no replenishment from sinks, is the rate of emission set to deplete the pool? It's asking how long is it set to deplete the pool over? And the answer is that currently we have it set at 12 months. So that 2% initial allocation will be distributed over 12 months as it currently stands. But we are hereby reserving the right to tweak that later on, obviously depending on a variety of factors, like during phase 2 as other sinks are coming online and depending on the release of parallel TCG. And there's a variety of factors. So yeah, reserve the right to tweak, but right now that 2% will get distributed over 12 months.
All right. So our next question was essentially, can you uncache a prime key and trade them? I think it says a partially depleted prime key and trade them. I guess one I just want to clarify, which is prime keys do not have a specific fixed amount of prime that they can claim. They, have a claim to a pro rata share of prime distributed per second once in the staking pool. So I just want to clarify that. But yes, they can be cashed or uncashed at any time. And the new owners, if you buy, caching has been going for a month and you buy a prime key, you can cache it. You can cache a prime key for a month and uncache it and sell it. The choice is yours there.
Yeah, and I guess just sort of to aid with those decisions for collectors, like the fast follow update. We're hoping that you'll be able to see the amount of PKs staked, or sorry, cached, the amount of PKs that are sort of remaining to be cached, the remaining prime within the PK pool, and maybe even like a status of like how many more months. Or however percentage of the emissions have sort of already been rewarded. So those types of indicators will help community members sort of make decisions.
So this next question, I actually kind of touched on this a bit just now. It's relating to PD4 paraset caching. So yeah, like I said, starting tomorrow, you won't be able to cache PD4 parasets because they haven't been announced by Parallel yet. But shortly following that announcement from the Parallel team, we're going to do our best to get that set up quickly so that people can start caching and collecting those sets.
Yeah. So that sort of 2% pool, the prime set caching pool, that's sort of independent. The pack drop for cards obviously will still be eligible for EADA claims. We haven't determined the date for Prime Event 3 yet, but it'll likely be between when the new key drops and pack drop 5. Which we assume Patch 5 is going to be coming in September. So once we figure out when the keys are coming out from Parallel, and we know a bit of the date for when Patch 5 comes out, we'll sort of announce when Prime Event 3 and all your cards from Pack Drop 4 will be sort of eligible for Prime.
All right. So our next question here is it possible to remove a single card from being cached, effectively invalidating the caching rewards, or will all of the cards have to be withdrawn to access one? And this is in sort of relation to prime sets, and the answer is the full prime set will have to be uncached from the contract in order for you to kind of sell an individual card there.
Nice. So this next question refers to the percent allocation table that I put together in the June recap. And so it says it only shows up to PD4. What about PD5 and PD6? Will they have a share of the pool? And the answer is yes, they will have a share of the pool. With prime set caching, the way it works is that each set type gets an equal share of the pool. As more sets come online, the amount of prime that each set type gets will decrease slightly. But yeah, the idea is to continue being able to scale that. I don't know, Meta, you have Anything
Yeah,
else to
yeah.
say
I
on that
guess
one?
I don't know. I think like obviously like what we've seen in the most recent pack drop was that there were no PL sets, and so there's sort of like I guess fluctuations with like the types of sets that come out, and this sort of method of I guess we were calling it the linear method sort of allows the sort of set rewards to be to expand or sort of yeah, I guess like be expandable. And I think it's sort of fun to think about like how the sets may be sort of constructed in the future. Obviously there's six pack drops from the base set here, but um, we have an expansion that we know that the parallel team is working on called Planetfall, and it's just fun to think about like how set construction will be determined in the future. So one thing that has been sort of discussed in the community is, what about like parallel faction specific sets? This is something that could turn on um, a little bit later, but it's just fun to sort of play around with the idea of what is a set and how it sort of gets constructed.
Yeah. Kind of following up on the prime set caching questions here. Will caching require a transaction for each card in a given set? And the answer is no. You will be able to cache an entire set in one transaction. Yeah.
So this next one, will caching return a transferable token that could be used to move ownership of cache sets and or build products on top of caching? So currently, that's not something that we're focused on. Obviously, in the world of crypto, people have, outside of the community, there's a kind of a tendency for people to build things that they want. And so, it's not really up to us whether or not things like this start to pop up. But, we're really just focused on keeping things simple and just building out more utility for Prime.
Cool. All right. So if caching requires a transfer for each card in the paraset, and to pay transfer fees, what was the estimate of the cost there? Basically, should we consider this similar to the cost of transferring on OpenSeas, or are there other sort of contract optimizations? So as we mentioned, the actual, it's not a transaction per card. It is one transaction um, to cache a set. However, you are transferring multiple assets from one wallet to another, and the number of assets that you are transferring may impact the amount of way needed for the transaction to complete, which is I think consistent with any smart contract that moves multiple assets between wallets. And sort of as far as approximating costs, that's really it's not something that we can do. Gas fees are pretty much subject to the demand on the Ethereum mainnet, and there's a number of tools that you can use to initiate this, to estimate this, and additionally, this was another reason why we wanted to have start out with a 3-day grace period, but extended it to a week. We want to give people choice when it comes to when they actually pull the trigger on moving assets into the caching contracts, and look to find sort of kind of like gas prices and network demand that is kind of works for them.
Yeah, and I guess to add, because there's this sort of 7-day window, there is no incentive to be first to cash. So it's almost encouraged that you do wait for a particular time that works for you. If you're like you're out on the bus or whatever, you don't have to rush home to be the first one in the pool. You can sort of keep monitoring the network and finding out the best time.
Gold?
Oh, is it me? Oh, sorry. I got a ping. Are we on number 24 here?
We're in 24, yeah.
Nice. So yeah, this question's about what was the benefit of having the assets in a pool rather than leaving them in people's wallets, and issuing rewards through snapshots and signed messages. Like one example I think most people are probably familiar with is like the moonbirds and how they did nesting. And the answer for us really is that this method is tried and true, and it's the quickest and safest way to distribute governance that we know of. There's also potential issues with unknown selling of assets and various errors that can occur with a system like the one that question's asking about. That said, we're open to optimizations in the future and always looking for ways to improve. But yeah, for now, we wanted to kind of be rather safe than sorry, and so just wanted to stick with the tried and true method.
Yeah, and I'll just add on to that before I go into the next one. Like another benefit as well is if it's off chain, it's fairly opaque, whereas if it's on chain, it's transparent. Not only for us to monitor, but the community as a whole. And so we believe that it's important to sort of practice what we preach in terms of both like decentralization and this vision of a trustless and permissionless world that we're all here trying to create. So going into our next question here, will cached cards still count towards the Ardent Prime rewards program? And the answer for that is, we believe so. The ability to correlate the cached assets to a particular collector is kind of like inherent with how the contracts are structured and this infrastructure. And it's definitely something that is on our mind as we kind of like build out and finalize the Ardent Prime program. It's something that we care about here.
Okay, was waiting for color. Seems like no color needed from Meta on this one.
No
Any
color.
Meta?
So this next question, Zero asked, can I have the ABI of the caching contract? And the answer is yes, but just Zero. So I'm going to be DMing him. Just kidding. So we will be publishing the contract on Etherscan, and it'll be linked in the FAQ, both on here and also on the site. And there is going to be an update coming to the FAQ here that you guys will get to see tomorrow on the site as well. So that will all be there for your viewing pleasure.
All right, and it looks like, I think our last question here is, are there any benefits to consolidating assets and parasets, loose cards into a single wallet? I think that this question also asked about the vaulted assets, and we have covered that. Just to cover it again, you will need to move your assets out of the vault if you intend on caching them. Will my experience be cleaner by consolidating into a single wallet? The answer is not necessarily. As we've mentioned, prime sets need to be in one wallet complete in order to be cached, but you could have 10 prime sets in 10 different wallets, or 10 keys in 10 different wallets, and cache all of those from the individual wallets to your heart's content. That's your choice. Consolidating might give you kind of like a more holistic idea of the prime that you have accrued, but it's not something that is necessary.
Yeah, and we recognize sort of the concern of like sort of splitting up your assets and from a security perspective, but we hope that like obviously like there's a bit of recognition sort of the difficulty in tracking multiple wallets and ensuring proper ownership for rewards and Ardent Prime. So it's something that we're working in improving, but we'll continue to explore other solutions in the future.
I think we do have one more question. I'm not actually sure if somebody from the community asked this or if we just wanted to share this, but relating to the expiry date for the EADA and prime set claims, right now the plan is that there will be an eventual expiration, and the idea is to do that 30 days after prime event 5. So still a long ways to go from right now, and obviously no rush on that, but yeah, right now the plan is that there will be an expiry 30 days after prime event 5, and we'll make sure to be shouting that from the rooftops and the Discord and everywhere else leading up to that, and we'll also let you guys know if that changes.
Yeah, and so like obviously like Prime is a fixed supply currency, and so if it's being attributed to these wallets and no one's claiming it, that's sort of not a huge issue, but obviously we want to sort of keep Prime in circulation and sort of have it being utilized. So any Prime that is sort of not claimed after that 30 days after Prime Event 5 will go back into the Echelon community treasury for future use. Yep. I think we're at the end of our questions. I'm not sure if. Go ahead,
Yeah, I
Sentient.
just wanted to say great work, everyone. That was a great way to answer every question. I've seen the people writing up in general questions that everything is very clear, and there's actually no one right now in questions or in general that has any questions that has yet to be answered. So if you guys have any questions, make sure to post them so maybe we can have a few of them answered before we close it out. But again, great work.
Yeah, I think we wanted to keep it under an hour, so we still do have a few minutes here if anybody's got any other burning questions. Feel free to, I guess, put your hand up or just yas it in the questions chat.
But if your question has been answered, you're getting banned.
That's right. No mercy over here. Can we cash prime sets in a month? Yes, no problem. You will miss out on a little bit of the initial distributions, but yep, no problem with that. Totally up to you when to cash.
Yeah, so we have a question from Nyan that says, if PD4 sets are announced, let's say in the coming week, will they be instantly castable too? If not, then when would they become castable after the key snapshot? Question mark.
So I think no, they won't be instantly cacheable. I think once we get a clear idea of what the construction of the PD4 sets, we'll work with the devs to sort of include them. I think there's probably a bit of coordination from that end with the fast follow. So hopefully, if the timing goes right, the PD4 sets will be available along with the fast follow.
What time does the contract go live tomorrow? I actually don't know. I'm not sure. Do we know?
We don't know an exact time. We don't know an exact time. But as we mentioned, like there is no rush. I think they're probably just sort of they're they want to make sure that everything is sort of aligned. So we don't have a set time that we can give you. But obviously, once we know and we get word from the devs, we'll announce it. And again, we've got a full week to cache. So the yeah, we'll
And
let you know.
as it was stated before and was asked again in general, there will be no special rewards or extra rewards for day one cashers. You have a week, no matter if it's the first minute or the last minute, you just need to cash. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
do have a question
When
here
will
that
we
I
be
don't know
able?
if we could answer. How much total Prime is allocated for release the first year? I don't know if
I mean, I don't know the numbers offhand, but this information is available in the original Echelon white paper. I
Yeah, if you hit links, if you go over to resources and hit links, you can check out the white paper addendum had our updated allocations, and then we made a few adjustments with the Prime update. So I think with the white paper addendum and the Prime update, that should paint the whole picture for you. Easier to explain with pie charts than words.
yeah.
Has caching been tested for multi-sig wallets? Yes, it has been. Gnosis works.
Yeah, I think Parallel, particularly also mentioned, I think yesterday or a couple days ago, that there was something, some bug of some sort related to Gnosis, and I think that was resolved. And I assume that that was resolved for caching as well. But uh, yeah, that's all we know right now.
Which EP is the most primist? It's got to be Fall, since he came in first in the election. He's literally EP number one,
he
so
fell from the
first prime
Prime
number.
stars.
Primest of all, come on. I would probably put it
I
at
mean,
like
It might be meta based on just being such a Chad color commentator over here.
true.
I,
If we're ranking on color commentary ability, there's no contest.
He's coloring the conversation Prime. Okay, that was
feel
horrible.
like Ultra Paradise or Kalos probably have like probably deserve the nickname of, like, I don't know, like Grandmaster Cash or something ridiculous. They just have a hilarious amount of cards.
Okay, we're coming up to the hour. I think might get one question in before we go, but yeah, if you have any casting related questions, get them in now or be, well, not forever silent, but until the next time.
Do we have anything more to say about Ardent? Well, I guess Ardent Prime program's not super caching related.
It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can probably cover questions about that kind of in a later or in a future mailbag episode here.
Yeah, it seems that people need to maybe rewatch this and see if they got their questions answered. So yeah, thank you so much everyone for joining us today on this community talk about casting. Thank you so much to our favorite EPs on the community calls or this community call, which is Meta, View, and Cold. And I'll see you all tomorrow, casters. Have a prime day.
Take it easy. Thanks, everyone.
Yeehaw.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.